Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Amy here. Today we're going to be talking about my July TBR. I can't believe the month of June is just already almost gone. It's going by so fast, 2021. I don't even know. And my days have been so busy, once I finally sit down and reflect, it's like, where have the days gone? What have I done with my life? But in the month of July, I thought I would do some backlisting. Not necessarily backlisting, but books that I've had on, especially on my Book of the Month TBR stack up there. I have a lot. So in the month of July, I really want to get through as many as I can. So I have I picked up four. I picked up four to start off with. Who knows how the month goes, because there's also some other reads that I want to get to as well. There's Summerween that starts July 2nd. So many books I want to get to in July. So I have I listed 10 books. That's the most I ever usually list for myself. I usually just do 8, but I added on 2 more just because I really want to read these books, and I really want to get through my Book of the Month TBR. And then I gotta start on this shelf. So maybe the rest of this year will be reading my TBR shelf. Don't buy any more books, Amy. Don't buy any more books. Well, that's just gonna be impossible. But anyway, because my first book I'm gonna tell you about, I still have to go out and buy it. It hasn't come out yet, and it is Survive the Night by Riley Sager. This has been a most anticipated read for 2021. It comes out on the 29th. I will be going pick it up ASAP. Of course, I have a feeling it's going to be on Book of the Month. I have a feeling it's going to be a pick. And if it's not on there, we're going to Barnes & Nobles. But this is going to be not only for the Book Troop book club, but also for the Literally Dead book club. The synopsis is so much fun. I have to read it to you. I was going to try and give you just a brief summary, but it's so much fun to me because we're going back to 1991, y'all. So it says, it's November 1991. George H.W. Bush is in the White House. Nirvana's in the tape deck. And movie-obsessed college student Charlie Jordan is in a car with a man who might be a serial killer. During an age when the only call for help can be made on a payphone and in a place where there's nowhere to run. In order to win, Charlie must do one thing: survive the night. I cannot wait. We are going back in time. 1991, y'all. That's when I started high school. Gosh, I'm old. I'm just super ecstatic about this read, if you can't tell. Okay, next up on the list, my Summerween titles that I'll be reading. I only chose 2 books just because I want to get so many other books in for the month of July. I will try to do a vlog for Summerween. We'll see how it goes since I'm only doing 2 books, but we'll see. Follow me around for a week. We'll see how it goes. But first on my list is Horrified by Katrina Leno. This is, let me see what the prompts are real quick. So it meets pretty much all the prompts. Okay, the number 1 challenge is bake or make a drink with your spooky read. Well, that's gonna be easy. That's not necessarily a book, but I'll be making a mixed drink. Read a book in the dark. That's gonna be the next book I'm gonna talk about. Read a paranormal book. Read a horror book. Read a book with black or orange on the cover, or both. So this book can definitely meet every single challenge, because it's a YA horror. It has paranormal activity in it. It has black on the cover. It can definitely be read in the dark. Well, not really, unless I put a flashlight to it. Yeah. It can be read in the dark, and I can read it while having my favorite beverage. So this one book can go into every single challenge. But I'm going to add another book to read in the dark, which I did that last time, and I found that it was super, super fun because I can read on my Amazon tablet and everything else around me is dark and it's super creepy. It's a short story we'll get to in a minute. So I don't know much about this book except for the fact that I know it's YA horror and it has paranormal in it. It says Jane's fingers were numb. I'm just read the little blurb on the back. Was she ready to admit now that she believed in? The word was still so hard to say. It was silly and childish. It was white sheets with the eye holes cut out and grainy pictures of disembodied heads and bumps in the night when you're home alone, all tucked in bed and frozen with fear. Ghost. Is this grief? Is it mental illness or something more? Following her father's death, Jane North Robinson and her mom, Ruth Ellen, moved from sunny California to the dreary, dilapidated old house in Maine where Ruby grew up. All they want is a fresh start, but behind North Manor's doors lurks a history that leaves them feeling more alone and more tortured. I don't want to read too much into it. We're just gonna know that there's ghosts possibly involved. It's horror. I'm excited. Next up, I'm going to read what I'm going to be reading in the dark is Hannah Beast by Jennifer McMahon. Jennifer McMahon wrote, what was the one I read? I read it last year. Was it last year or was it this year? Winter People. Winter People. I think I did read it this year. Did I read it for Winterween? I don't know. But anyway, it was a really fun book. It had some paranormal in it as well. This is a short story. It's part of an Amazon sort of reading thing. It's called Dark Corners, and a bunch of different authors wrote short stories to go in this little group of scary books. And the one I read last year, The Sleep Tight Motel, which I highly recommend, is also part of the Dark Corners thing. So that was a fun read as well. Another short story if you want something short to read in the dark like I do, because I don't want to be stuck in the dark for very long. This one also is available. It's available through Kindle Unlimited. Both of them are, but this one has the audio free with it, with Kindle Unlimited. So I'm going to be listening and reading along in the dark with this book. I don't know what it's about. Like I said, it's a short story, so I don't want to maybe give too much away. It says the fate of a lonely girl becomes part of a town's shameful secret history. A terrifying story of guilt, retribution, and one tragic Halloween night on 34 years ago on October 31st. I'm not going to read any more because it's such a short story. It'll probably give something away. But I'm looking forward to checking this one out. Then we're gonna start into my backlist of Book of the Month titles. First up, this one came out in this was just part of the add-on. This wasn't an actual pick. This is True Story by Kate Reed Petty. And you can still get it on Book of the Month. It's in like the new release section. They put a bunch of books there for you to add on that are new releases, but I'm pretty sure this is still available on Book of the Month. I actually started reading this already only because I wanted to float around in the pool this past weekend, and the book I was reading was on my Amazon tablet. Didn't want to bring that in the pool, and then I was listening to something, so I just grabbed this off the shelf. I'm like 100 pages in, 91 pages in. It's actually pretty good. I haven't really heard much about this, and if I have seen someone talk about it, it hasn't really been that great. Like I said, I'm still just very early on. It doesn't really have chapters either. It just has breaks in the story, and then it flip-flops from one point of view to another point of view. So I think we're following one of the young girls, basically from like, there's some timelines. It starts off in 2015, and then we go back to like 1999, and then we're gradually leading back up to 2015. So we're following a student, a high school senior, I believe he was in the beginning of this book, book. Nick Brothers is his name. He's part of the lacrosse team at Maryland High School. One night they have like this party, and there's a girl that is like super drunk. Two of his friends take her home, so nobody really knows what happened except these two guys. And they told this lavish story about what happened and started this rumor. And we're also so Nick doesn't really know exactly what happened because he wasn't there. You know, these are just his friends, so he's assuming they're telling him the truth. And then like I don't want to get too deep into it. It's rather a deep kind of story. And then we're also following the young girl that they drove home on that night. I don't really know much more than that. I'm guessing we'll eventually get down to the bottom, to the true story. It's kind of reminding me of like a podcast of just true stories, and I'm really fascinated in it. I'm like I said, I'm only 91 pages in, but I'm really liking it, so we'll see how it goes. And then hopefully I can get to or get through Girl A. This is by Abigail Dean. I've heard mixed feelings on this. Well, not really mixed feelings. I've heard that it's actually not really that great, honestly. Let's see what Goodreads rates it. I'm kind of very intimidated by it because I believe it involves child abuse, and for me it's really hard to read. It has a 3.64 star average on Goodreads, so we'll see. I think I did find the audio for this on maybe Scribd or something, or maybe it was from my library. I don't know. I'll have to go back and check. But I did hear that it was very hard to follow, so you have to pay like very close attention to it. It says you can flee your parents. You can bury your secrets, but you'll never leave behind what your siblings know, what you all shared. Lex Gracie doesn't want to think about her family. She doesn't want to think about growing up in her parents' house of horrors. And she doesn't want to think about her identity as Girl A, the girl who escaped, the eldest sister who freed her older brother and youngest siblings. It's been easy enough to avoid her parents. Her father never made it out of the mess he created, and her mother spent the rest of her life behind bars. But when her mother dies in a prison and leaves Lex and her siblings the family home, she can't run from her past any longer. Together with her sister Evie, Lex intends to turn the House of Horrors into a force for good. First, she must come to terms with her siblings and with the childhood that they shared. So I have a feeling this is going to be tough to get through, but we're going to give it a try. This was February 2021's Book of the Month. So this is how far back we're going. We're going back to the beginning of the year, y'all. This was just thrills and chills. This is The Half-Sister Sandy Jones by Sandy Jones. This wasn't actually a Book of the Month pick, but it was in the new release add-on section when I got it. Really excited about this one. I've actually loved or really liked the last two books I've read from Sandy Jones. And I don't think they're very popular out in the booktube world, but I really like them. So I'm anxious to see how I feel about this one. It says, meet the half-sister and unravel the ties that blind us. The truth. Sisters Kate and Lauren meet for Sunday lunch every week without fail, especially after the loss of their father. The lie. But a knock at the door is about to change everything. A young woman by the name of Jess holds a note with the results of a DNA test claiming to be their half-sister. The unthinkable. As the fallout starts, it's clear that they are all hiding secrets, and perhaps this family isn't as perfect as it appears. And that's all we get. So I'm anxious to get into this one. I've heard it's actually kind of good. So I'm guessing it's going to be, very relatable to her other books, which like I said, I really liked. And then lastly, I really like to get into this one, The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. I love that. I didn't realize till now the back has like a little green bug on it. I love the cover of this book. This was March 2021's part of that selection. This is just a beautiful book. I heard good things about it as well. I think this has a little bit of some historical fiction that goes along with it. It says, a forgotten history, a secret network of women, a legacy of poison and revenge. Welcome to the Lost Apothecary. Hidden in the depths of 18th century London, a secret apothecary shop caters to an unusual kind of clientele. 200 years later, aspiring historian Caroline Parswell discovers an aged apothecary vial in the River Thames. Again, I don't want to read too much into it, but I think we have a little timeline of going back into like the history of the apothecary and then present day. So really excited about this one. Hopefully I can get to it. And then I picked 3 male romances that have been on my, or have been sitting in my Kindle app on my Amazon tablet, like, I don't even know how long. So we're gonna read them in July. The first one is Featherbed by Annabeth Albert. This is actually part of the Vino and Veretta's books that have been, coming out. These are books that are written by different authors. This is actually considered #1. Roommates, which I read a couple months ago, right when it came out, was considered like to be the opener of this little series that's starting. So I am a little bit behind on this. So this is just the first book in the little series that we have. But Annabeth Albert is one of my favorite male romance writers. So it's been kind of sitting there in my on my tablet for a while. When a bookworm on borrowed time meets a younger free-spirited chicken farmer, sparks and feathers fly. Harrison Philip Fletcher III isn't supposed to be here. Not in Burlington, Vermont. Not running Vinos and Verettas, a quaint, inclusive bookstore and wine bar. And definitely not still alive at 42. Also not supposed to be here, an unexpected delivery of chickens. Finn Barnes knows chickens. The burly organic farmer knows all about rare breed poultry, but dealing with a hot, older bookseller is an entirely different matter. City slicker types like Harrison never end up staying in Vermont for the long term. They should steer clear of each other, but the flare of attraction is mutual, and somehow, amid book discussions and farm tours, they discover plenty in common. What starts as a fling brings very real feelings for 2 lonely souls, but a future together seems as unlikely as chickens in a bookstore. That's cute. I'm definitely ready to read this one and get back into that series because there's so many good authors that are writing and that are a part of this little Vinos and Verettas series. So I'm excited about that. Next up is Painted Lace by K.M. Newhold. This has been, well, I don't know how long this has been on my Kindle app, but I was looking for some more K.M. Newhold after I think I finished one of the Four Bears books, and this one popped up. So it sounded really cute and fun, as all her books do. So I borrowed it. It's just from Kindle Unlimited, of course. But I have never read it. Like, how sad is that? It says Austen never realized he was painting his life with shades of gray until Keaton came along and injected a rainbow of color. Keaton is a tornado of chaos and paint, which turns out to be more exciting than I ever would have imagined. I love my organized, predictable life, or at least I thought I did. But what started as a casual hookup is slowly becoming so much more, and I find myself loving the beautiful mess more than I expected. Cute, cute, cute. And lastly, we have Finding Ian. This is by Riley Hart. This has also been on my TBR Kindle backlist for a while. After I read was it Finding Finley or Finding Finn? That's the first book. This is a series. It's the Desired Unleashed collection. Finding #2. So I think Finding Finley was the first one, and I loved that book. Riley Hart is such an amazing male romance writer. I love everything she puts out, and that first book was really good. It was deep, but it wasn't like a dark deep. It was deep and intense, and it was just such a good story. So I can't wait to find out about Ian. I think we meet Ian and whoever else is the dominant guy. This isn't like a dom sub kind of series. I don't remember what, of course I remember Finley, but who was his dom? But anyway, I think these two doms are like friends, and then Finley and Ian are friends as well. So I'm pretty sure we meet them in the first book. But anyway, I'm a little confused at this synopsis, but I think we're getting points of views from the characters that we're going to be reading. So Jordan is going to be a character, and it says, hookups have always been my thing, and expanding new ways of playing has me curious. The idea of submitting to someone's total domination and care. It feels right when not much else in my life has. And then David is another character, says, dominance and submission have always been things I need in my life, even when it made me lose someone I loved. It's a thrilling, fulfilling spark when a submissive hands control over to me. And for the right man at the right time, maybe I need to be the one forced to my knees. Ian is our Ian character. I've never understood the need to be submissive, or dominant for that matter. Trust doesn't come easily for me, but there was that one time I watched my best friend and his sir, and it roused something in me I don't want to admit. Just like I can't acknowledge out loud how alone I feel. Then my friend Jordan decides to play with David, a dominant we both know, and I think I'm jealous. They intrigue me separately, but Jordan and David together makes my interest even more explosive. Maybe I want to let go, to let someone else take the reins so I can just be. When the three of us decide to explore together, I realize how good it can feel to be submissive, but I like the other side of it too. Discovering both my submissive and dominant side with them is just playing. I don't have it in me to fall in love with one person, so how can I risk the pain of loving two? Oh, didn't realize this was going to be like a male kind of story. Okay, I'm ready. Those are the plans for July as far as my reading plans go. Don't know if, things are going to fall through. You never really know how the month goes, how many books you're going to be able to get to. Sometimes I could get more in, sometimes it's going to be less. But yeah, that's the plans for July. So let me know in the comments down below what y'all will be reading for July, especially for Summerween. What are some picks that y'all are going to be enjoying for that week of spookiness? As always, thank y'all so much for watching, and hope y'all are all doing well and staying safe out there. Hugs from me all around, and I will see y'all very, very soon with another new video. Bye, y'all.